Well, hello, and welcome to my Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king, a proud part of the Bar Cart Co-op. And before we go any further this evening, let's talk to Mike about what you're supposed to do right now.
You're supposed to, right now, this very minute, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out. If you're watching us live, because if it's Monday night, you are watching us live. Please interact in the chat with the fine folks. If you're watching this after the fact, or you're watching this a second or third time because it's a great show, comment down below and let us know what you think.
Yeah, very, very true. And we also have a guest tonight. I mean, a pretty important, huge guest. He is a cooper, a distiller, apparently the 15th apostle of Jesus Christ, several other, maybe a dictator, a world leader in 3 countries. But he is our good friend.
A country himself.
He's our good friend, Mitch Wettle. We are so happy to have you on here this evening. Thanks for stopping in and sharing some of this great whiskey with us, and also some of the fantastic knowledge that you hold and Mike and Ben got to experience firsthand. So thank you for being with us, Mitch. Did we lose his audio?
Oh
no! Don't tell me I'm.
No, you're there. You came back. You're good now.
All right.
This is a problem when you operate across dimensions.
I'm glad to be here.
No, it's Facebook. Facebook decided to have its weekly issue. Probably from it has an issue. So that's probably what it was. It's all that part's fixed now.
Getting zucked.
It is. So everyone in the chat, thank you for stopping in. We really appreciate it. We're going to start things off with something really, really fun and something we're going to probably dip into again next week. This is the Single Cask Nation release. It was the Heaven Hill release. It was the pre-fire. Mike has that. Oh, and there's a sample there. I'm going to put some.
It's from an undisclosed distillery that had a fire
in the 90s. It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
How dare I?
Yeah. Whatever.
Suggest things. That's my fault. But we're going to start here. And how did you work your way up the ladder of life into your position that you do have now, Mitch? Like, how did you I like your progression, because it's not just one thing. It's like you dipped your fingers into a little bit of the whole bourbon making process. So do you want to take us down a little bit of your history?
Yeah.
Tell us where you put your fingers, Mitch.
Where haven't I is really scary.
Jesus, Mike. Not even 5 minutes in. Over the line.
What line? So before I say that, I do have to give a little
that's true.
Boilerplate. Anything I say is completely my opinion and does not express any opinion of anybody who ever may have employed me, even if I say it does. So just ignore that. But So I started as a cooper mostly because both of my parents were forestry majors. So I know a little bit too much about wood. And also it's a very demanding job physically, and I'm pretty big. So they're like, hey, I bet we can grind that guy down. So I got a job there, did that for 4 years. In the meantime, I went to Wizard Academy, became a level 3 whiskey sommelier before I got hired at Heaven Hill, became an executive bourbon steward. Then Heaven Hill opened up a production supervisor position at their distillery in Louisville. And I was like, hey, this sounds like a great step forward in my career. I should really try and do this. And for some reason they said, yeah. I was like, all right, sweet. That sounds great. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to work for direct competitors at the same time. So I had to leave Brown Forman Cooperage for Heaven Hill. And currently, they're really awesome. They laid me off because of the contract negotiations hourly. So they're like, see you when we figure this out. And so I'm on vacation.
Well, I know the only thing I'm going to say that's good about that is you haven't been on vacation for a damn long time. So I'm happy you get a couple days off for what's going for that.
Yeah.
But that kills the question that I was going to follow up with is, what's going on at work?
Not a lot. So just basically the bottling and warehouse people are in Bardstown, whereas the distillery is in Louisville. So they're different, like D versus F or something like that at the same union. And then D went on strike, which is the warehouse and bottling people. And then the union negotiates their contracts in December. So see how that goes.
That's kind of weird, but I guess I get it.
So does this
it's a separate place.
Shortages of Heaven Hill spirits?
You broke up. It's probably a terrible hotel in there.
He wanted to know if you thought there was going to be any shortages of Heaven Hill spirits due to this stoppage.
I mean, it is the bottling line that's affected. So that is the final stop for like things before it comes out. However, I mean, everything that's allocated is already so effing allocated that you can't find it. So, oh no, you're still not going to be able to find Henry McKenna and, like ECDP.
Like
so, tough.
Right.
He has an excellent question, and I believe the answer is yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, following up on your level 3. Going to use it and spend some time there that weekend.
On Saturday.
Whew. Now, I just started off with the Heaven Hill, or not the Heaven Hill, the single cask nation release. God damn it, man! I hate all those formalities.
I'm sitting here looking at an array of bottles that are all technically Heaven Hill in front of me. So,
yeah,
the single cask nation one, since we started with that one.
All right.
It's not as heavy as what I was thinking it was going to be.
Now you haven't cracked this yet, right?
No, I just did now.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
First time for me as well. This is.
Oh,
look how upset you are. Why? What's wrong, Mike?
No. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's nice to get your first impressions, but
pretty sure I let you down somehow.
No. Make sure you save some for next week because it is. So I know we'll talk a lot more about this one next week, but the unique thing about it is, and apparently this is not as uncommon as you would think, but it was distilled before the fire. It was aged in Kentucky for 12 years and then sent over to Scotland where it finished aging where it aged for an additional 12 years in Scotland in the Scottish climate. And they had, the batch was not that big. I think 1,500 bottles total in this batch. And the cask strength is 46 point something % after all that time. But the difference of that time in Scotland, this is not woody at all. There's no woodiness to it.
Well, there's a little, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of like dusty and dusty grain, almost kind of basement warehouse kind of notes going on here. It's a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of the cherry note I typically get out of a lot of Heaven Hill spirits, but it's all just, I don't know how to quite describe this.
Mitch, you got any thoughts? And do they let you try some of the old stock at least to compare and stuff at work?
No.
Oh, come on. Wait.
That's like Master Distiller and Max Shapira and Alan Latz. They get the fun stuff. But yeah, it's so the way I like to say it is, a lot of American whiskey is all about that wood interaction, and a lot of Scotch and Irish whiskey is all about that air interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all about that air interaction. This is, they really pulled out a lot of the fruit, a lot of those esters. Spent the time, interacted with the element oxygen. It's just very interesting because it's tannic enough that my mouth is slightly dry after I drink it, which after 24 years, if it wasn't, I would be slightly concerned. But I'm not really picking up like those oak lactones or anything like that, where it's just like overwhelmingly wood.
It has just a really nice amount of heat, like a little bit of pepper and stuff that like picks up like probably 2/3 of the way through and sticks with it on the finish for me. Where I'm getting like, I feel like it's more of that than it is the wood I'm getting. This is way different than what I was expecting. This has a nice little twist to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think one of my favorite was an Old Fitzgerald 13-year-old I had was I really like that, and it had such bold, rich flavors in that one for me that it's interesting. I know it's different just to see how this finished off and kind of probably altered the tail end. But I mean, what is it, 20 some years altogether, almost like 10 and 10. So I can see that happening with that time frame in there.
So I did get a pour of the Heaven Hill 27 that they released. Not from work. I had to go to Westport Whiskey and Wine and buy a pour because, hey. And this is so much better than that. That was like tannins and oak, and it was just
right.
If you could imagine swallowing a stave, that's what that tastes like. And this is not like that.
That's actually my memory of the bottle of Elijah Craig 18 year that I had was just tannin and very, very, very red wine like and very mouth drying. Enough to where I wouldn't buy another one, quite honestly.
But I like the mouth drying part of it.
So this one,
this one too.
I do enjoy it to a certain degree if it's not like overly so and throws everything so out of balance. But this one is, and if Jolie happens to tune in, I'd really love to just say the word mouthfeel right now. But the mouthfeel of this, there's a real creaminess to it. I mean, I'm sitting here like I just took a bite of caramel or something, and just that thick caramel just coating your mouth and the sweetness from it. That's what, I don't know, that's what's going off in my head as I was taking sips of this.
Wow, this is actually pretty satisfying. So I'm glad we started off with this. I'm glad.
It can only go downhill from here. Don't worry.
I gotta put that over there though. But I can drink all the rest of the bottle. So let's get started.
Do it now.
No, but recently, right. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Recently, well, what are you guys moving on to before we go? I've got my lineup and I've already started my dump glass to sit. So
I didn't really leave anything in the dump glass for that one. I guess it's
kind of hard to do that.
Dumped. I also have one hotel plastic cup, so I will not be dumping anything once it's down my throat. So hey,
I like that. We can solidarity in that. Or do you want to have your dump glass for the end?
I mean, I can just pour a little bit.
No, I was talking to Mike and Ben, not you. You're fine.
I mean, I've got mine already of the 5 that I'm going to have tonight. So
okay,
all right.
Because I'm no quitter.
Start
I'm moving on to some Elijah Craig then.
Okay, Elijah Craig.
All
right. I'm going to do Evan Williams Bottled and Bond then. Or actually, you know what?
The rest of the group. What is this? One of these things is not like the other? Are we playing that game right now?
I think that may be that game today. Considering I don't think any of us all had the exact same lineup.
There we do. I'll do Fighting Cock since that's the unique one that I've got.
Sure. All right.
Now
you guys were
not wrong with the little.
Speak of the devil.
There's the devil.
We were just talking about mouthfeel, Red.
That's right.
We were.
In anticipation of her birthday tomorrow, by the way. So everybody post your favorite picture on her Facebook page.
Your favorite picture of Alan Bishop.
That too.
As a prelude to Alan Bishop Day.
Or Larry Bird.
International yeah.
More Larry Bird.
Or Johnny
Just
Cougs.
fan of both. Now, when Mike and Ben were on vacation recently, you guys actually got to go on tour at Heaven Hill with Mitch. I was jealous. I wasn't there, but we do have some pictures. And I don't know if you guys want to take us through some of the trip there a little bit, just because I think when I looked at some of these, the scale was very impressive to the size that it kind of blows me away. And my question with some of this, Mitch, how is it working with something some of that scale and size compared to what most people generally get to like learn and work on? I just feel like anytime you start a job, really, you get thrown into the fire. How is it to get thrown into the fire on something so massively huge? I don't know. I'm just going to pick a picture. I don't know what we're looking at. That's just a cereal still, but there's an outside one. I'm going to take this down for a second just because where was that? Oh, of course.
So those were 2 of our 3 stills.
Yeah.
They're like 5 stories tall, like 6 feet diameter. That's a silo with me in front of it in the foreground. I'm not actually that tall, but
fibs.
So if you look literally at the one above my head, it's a little smaller than that one in the foreground. That is the exact size of a railroad car, actually. So if you imagine a railroad car on its end, that is how tall those are. And that is actually why it was that size, because they used to get their grain delivered by a railroad car. So they just had one silo equal one railroad car.
Wow. It looks like there's a couple of them there. Am I right in that?
We have 8 silos there. 6 of them are the railroad car size. 2 of them are at least triple that.
So how often do you have? I guess how often do you go through like a silo or
so one of those small silos
coming in?
We go through about 1 million pounds of grain a day, a little less. So that's a lot. We get everything by semi now instead of railroad. But one of those smaller silos of corn does not last an 8-hour shift. So that goes through that pretty fast.
Damn.
For malted barley and rye, they last about a day for that size, roughly, give or take.
That's crazy. I can't imagine that. It's just for me the scale of that and working with farmers on that level to have to be able to bring in grain like that.
So I mean,
it's insane.
What's his face? I forget who it was, but he said his parents owned a grain elevator. Like we deal with a grain elevator. We don't deal directly with farmers except for one farmer for one specific release, and that's the farmer next to Heaven Hill for their little like terroir experiment. So we realistically deal with one of the biggest grain brokers in Kentucky to feed the machines. That's in a polite way of saying that.
No, it is. I'm just gonna bring up a couple other ones just because, and I'm sorry if they're out of order. I wasn't there.
That's your fault too.
I know it was my fault. That's why I apologize to everyone.
So that's just one of our doublers. At Heaven Hill, we have a column still that leads to that. It's basically a really ugly pot still. I might come up to the serial number on that. That's about 15-ish feet tall right there. It's designed to have 100 gallons a minute flow through it, and it brings the proof up from 110, 120 up to around 140.
Nice. All right. Oh, that's later. Oh, Mike's stealing stuff.
It's not stealing if you were told to.
Right.
He's sanitizing his insides because
that's right. And that was a delicious new make. I really like that a lot.
It's good. I mean, when everything's going right, it's like corn, caramel, maybe a little bit of fruit and metal. So, and alcohol, a lot of alcohol. It has gone wrong before, though, so I'm glad it went right that day.
It's nice when they have that. Holy cow! So 14,000. Wow. See when you're
So that's where we make the bad grits, as I like to call them. So when you make whiskey, you basically take water and then ground up grain, and then you bring it to hot enough that you gelatinize the starches, aka cook it. And we do it 14,000 gallons at a time. We have 3 of those we have running. It takes about an hour and a half to cook 14,000 gallons. So about every half an hour, we turn one of those over to put them in a ferment.
Wow. Let's see here. So I always gotta keep jumping back and forth. I think this was after it.
That's the inside of it right there. That giant paddle's in there to swirl everything around so it doesn't get stuck, and we make burnt bad whiskey. So, John, it's much faster than 8 hours. Actually, like it is. You're looking at like 4.
Like 4? Yeah, I was gonna say I thought you guys were talking about that, where it's kind of just the scale of like it needing to be there on time could be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, so like I work every weekend, and a lot of people don't work on the weekends, so getting the grain in is just it's the biggest pain in that job, because it's like, hey, I need 1 million pounds of grain tomorrow, and they're like, well, we're not actually running. It's like, okay, well, I need an extra 1 million today then, and they're like, oh, well, it's Saturday. And it's like, well, this happens every weekend. Did you not see this coming?
Right.
So you gotta love truck drivers, man.
I do love when that happens. Like, yeah, this is happening all the time. Hasn't anyone caught on to this yet? No.
Yeah.
Why would they?
We're never gonna catch on to this.
You guys still making whiskey?
So we bring it up to around like 180 when we put the corn in, and then we actually, after we get it up there and hold it for about 20 minutes, we actually pump cold water through it to drop the temperature all the way down to like 140 when we put the malt in, and then after that we crash cool it as much as we can before we put it in the fermenter, because we don't want to boil the yeast alive. We just have rotten bad grits rather than fermenting nectar of the gods.
Speaking of bad grits, how many different mash bills are you guys working with?
I mean, realistically, we have like 3 main ones. So we have like our regular bourbon. That's realistically what's in Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, Henry McKenna. If it's a bourbon, it's generally that. Then we have like our rye mash bill, which is it's a Kentucky rye, so it's fairly legal. It's like 51%. That's Pikesville Rittenhouse. And then we have the wheated bourbon. That's your Larceny, Old Fitz. And then much smaller quantities. We have corn whiskey for Georgia Moon, and my brain just turned on. Mellow corn. There we go.
Mellow, yeah.
And then they'll also do like experimental, like Parker's Heritage will put out a malt. So they had a malt. Then they have the grain to glass, which is that special farmer guy. His is slightly tweaked. But realistically, it's like, sorry. So, that's a great question. I can tell you we have 3 boilers. That's for 2 reasons. One, redundancy. So, like, if one boiler goes down, like, maintenance can go run and fix it, and we don't, like, have a catastrophic failure and everything has to stop. And basically, we can stop cooking and keep the stills going. And 2, because in Kentucky, if your boiler is above a certain size, you have to have a boiler man on site whenever it's running. And that costs money, so we didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3.
So we have 3 smaller ones.
I love the way people deal with things.
But going back to kind of, you were talking about scale. Like, it's all about scale.
Yeah,
What is what will keep us up running the most and the longest, because we distill 350 gallons of wash a minute. That turns into a roughly one, maybe. I feel like half wouldn't go very well.
Right.
But that's, like 35 proof gallons a minute. And, 70, so 2 minutes is 70 proof gallons. That's almost a barrel. So every 2 minutes we're down, Heaven Hill's down, that's a barrel they didn't produce. So if you see like a small 10-minute like thing that's like, oh, we need to take care of this, it will only take 10 minutes. It's not, oh, that only takes 10 minutes. That's 5 barrels of whiskey. How much money will they make off of 5 barrels of whiskey? Pretty good amount.
Right.
So you have to do like that. You have to do that like second or third level cost analysis to things, which is actually pretty interesting because there's a lot of places you get to that first level and it's like, do what we got to do to fix it to get us running. And
yeah, so many places, like where everywhere else I've worked, it's like, hey, I see a problem. And they're like, great, let's fix it before it becomes a big problem. At Heaven Hill, it's put it off until we're scheduled down, because even if it only takes 10 minutes, like if it takes 25 minutes, when we're scheduled, that's fine. We were already going to be down. We're not losing money.
it's just it's a different approach. It's a different approach.
Yeah, it's understanding. It's not just scale of size, scale of economy. It's understanding the corporate mindset of this is all about profits.
Mm-hmm.
Period. We're making whiskey, and a lot of people like this, but bottom line, it's about our bottom line.
I wish I could say it was super romantic and like we ran through the cornfields with our tops off, like feeling the corn, like seeing how great it felt. Like, oh, this one's exciting and this one's not, but it's not. We're there to make whiskey as efficiently and quickly as possible.
Right.
And I think makes me feel better.
Yeah, I think that's my takeaway from visiting there. Just the scale and the way it's done. This is bottom line. It's a whiskey, just a ginormous whiskey machine. Just crank it out.
Which sounds bad, but I think it is necessary. Like, I think craft and, bigger brands go hand in hand. Because those big brands really are the bedrock. Like, I mean this nicely, but if you bring out a new whiskey and then you bring out Evan Williams and it blows it out of the water, it's like you got some work to do. Whereas craft drives so much innovation, so much of just anything that's new in the past 50 years happened in craft first. So I think you need those two things.
Well, the reality is too, if you think about just dealing with a country our size, the sheer number of people that drink, you've got to whet that thirst. And if all there was is just craft whiskeys and craft distillers out there, you're not going to keep up with the demand. Hell, half of it can't keep up with the demand anyway. It seems like dealing with the sheer number of allocated stuff and everything else. But there's got to be some just same thing with beer. It's like all the craft beer is great, but you got to have some Bud Light and Budweiser somewhere just for the sheer volume of what's being consumed. So.
That's why Elijah Craig's no longer 12 years, because if they had kept the 12-year on it, it could have grown to 75,000 cases a year. Right. It's currently in the hundreds of thousands of cases a year.
Yeah, it is what it is. And you would have seen the skyrocket happen then too with the price and stuff, especially the way it's set up now. So
plus it freed up more stuff for Henry McKinnon.
Another one that got so much fame recently. There's a problem with some of these. I feel like all like the low, I don't want to say low level, but like let's say $20-$25 range stuff has all the last 5 years gotten its little spotlight to boost it up $10. It's like everyone, it's all had its little limelight being like, have you tasted this? And it's like
the mimic effect.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm sick of seeing all my wonderful normal priced whiskeys go. go through the roof for no reason. That's all I'm saying.
I just think that's, yeah, everybody's looking for that next hidden gem or what, well, this is gone. I can't get this. I can't get Elijah Craig barrel proof. So what's the next thing that I can get a hold of and that might fill that niche? And
ooh, now I did have this one. I think this was some of that grits you were talking about.
Yep, those are that's a fermenter. Those are just bad grits, rotting away in a controlled environment, getting ready to turn into bourbon.
Now, if I did this right.
Yeah. So
how deep is that goddamn?
Oh, that's the thing, Patrick. That these pictures,
I feel like
do
you could
not do
throw something
justice.
in there, and it would be like. Did it hit the bottom?
I can fit in the opening. That's how big the opening is. I could fit in the opening just standing like this. I could drop straight down without touching the sides of the opening.
So that thing is, to try to help you understand this, that thing is 3 stories high. That's right, Mitch? Yeah, that thing is 3 stories tall. So the pictures just literally do not do justice to the cavernous size of these. When you look inside, just how freaking massive and how far that goes down, you're just like, oh my God. Anybody who's got fear of heights, you're going to freak out a little bit just looking down through there. But it's enormous. The pictures just absolutely do not do justice at all.
No, there might be one where we're next to it down at the base where you kind of see there, but the base, the picture might show it. There's a 5 foot thick concrete pad that those sit on because of the weight that they are putting down on the ground.
Right.
And that's concrete on top of concrete. Like it's a concrete building designed to hold up buildings weight. And then they have to put extra concrete for that. But they're 125,000 gallon fermenters. So, imagine 125,000 gallons of milk. And that's roughly the size of those things, right?
Man.
Right.
I'm glad they think, at least they think about it. It sounds dumb, but there are so many places that would not take in the actual weight of the fermenter full.
Oh, did they originally? That was a learned error.
I was gonna say, I'm like, our bridge here in Green Bay suffered from something similar to that. Like, oh yeah, we only measured it at low tide, not at high tide, so we can only use it half the time. Is really good decision making abilities in that one. But well, like you said, it is. It's a learning experience, and not everyone would jump on that right away. But from then on, I guarantee they all looked into it. So
yeah. So the big joke is how little flows towards drains.
What?
How little flows towards the drains in Heaven Hill. Like normally the drains are the highest point, and then after it just slowly drains away. This is my unique one.
Ooh, that is a nice one.
Oh yeah, $14.
Hey, I like Old Fitzgerald. I don't.
You can't get it everywhere.
Really? I thought this was like everywhere.
I haven't seen that label Old Fitz, not in my area. So let's just call it allocated.
Not Mike needs a new prescription.
Yes, John, it was the Leo Frigo Bridge. Yeah, it was the engineering marvel that screwed Green Bay from being a real city. Well, it's true. So, all right. I'm finishing off some more Elijah Craig. I am going to pour some into the dump glass, so I have a little here going on. All right.
I have to rant for a moment about old bits. Only argument on the internet I've gotten into.
Hold on. I want to make you big. Anytime there's a rant, there you go.
Hold on. Pat's got to make you big.
I got to make you big.
Yeah. Well, thanks, buddy.
It's got to make you big so you can talk about wood.
Big spoon.
It's not quite about wood, but it is about an argument, which depending on who you are. So the only argument I've gotten into on the internet about whiskey was about Old Fitz. And it's because it has the weirdest history of like any mainstream whiskey. So it started in like the 1870s as a rail car whiskey. So it was just, a rectified whiskey that they just put in a fancy bottle to sell to idiots who were in the train and couldn't go out and buy their own. And then, imagine that rail cars kind of died away, and the brand got picked up by Pappy, and he changed it. And it was originally like corn, rye, barley. He changed it to a whisper of wheat. And that's back when it's Pappy, like he made it. So I guess I take that off too much. So after
it was just lagging for a second.
So after they sold the old bits and the entire distillery out from under Pappy, they started making everything at the Bernheim Distillery, which was then purchased by Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill also bought the old Fitz label. And the interesting thing was, before they bought the old Fitz label, they never made a wheated whiskey. So they had to buy a label to go with the wheated whiskey they bought that came with the distillery. So unless they changed things between when Pappy owned the brand and it was a whisper of wheat and it was made down the street basically, to when they made it at Bernheim and then sold it to Heaven Hill, it's the same stuff, just younger and at a different distillery. And apparently when I said that to someone, they got very, very mad.
I just came back because I wanted your story to be told.
That's
That's interesting.
You came back with spirit fingers too.
I did.
Right.
It was supposed to be like mind blown. I don't have that like thing going across the screen. I feel like I should have brought like the more you know thing, and if I could have got that to show you across the screen, I should have done that for this evening.
That could be a good, I don't know, a good little subtitle for this whole show we're doing right here. Mitch, Heaven Hill, the more you know.
It's all about
Filling in all the blanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here.
But that's one of the things that I found to be, it's one thing to hear you talk about it, but when you see the scale of that
Right.
and what they have to do, it's not in any way, or anything I'm going to say, anything I'm about to say, it's not shitting on Heaven Hill at all. But you talk about it, having to control and maintain that volume to feed the machine. And it's not that you don't care about the equipment. It's not that, no one's watching it. It's all being watched and monitored carefully. But all of these things have to go, because in order for the volume 3 stages down to happen, everything else has to happen up there. And there can be no stoppage whatsoever, because the machine has to constantly turn all day long, 24 hours a day, in order to feed the need down the road. And it's just, and when you see that in operation, you're like, oh my God. I mean, it was it was amazing to see that in that scale, considering a lot of other smaller distillers have gone to, because that is, not by footprint, but certainly by volume, it's got to be in the top at least 5 in the United States as far as volume, maybe top 2 or 3.
The number one largest bourbon distiller, because the only other person who puts out more bourbon than us is Jim Beam, and they split it between 2 distilleries. So it's literally the biggest in America.
Damn. Nice.
Wow.
I like to hang my hat on that. That's nice.
Yeah.
But
You can go with it. I was just gonna say, do you know where it stands in relationship to some like Scottish distilleries? In the world, I guess.
They are bigger than every single malt producer, but there might be a bigger grain producer.
Okay.
I can see that.
But also, the last time I read it, it was in like LPAs per annum, which is liters of pure alcohol, and we use proof gallons, and I don't like converting metric to imperial, so my brain just was like, no, that's less.
Maths. Damn the math.
I hate when they switch it up. And yeah, I think that's the truth.
Yes, absolutely.
It is. Yeah.
I brought down 40 whiskeys to Texas. I left the Glencairns back.
And you spent the morning at Iron Root today.
Drinking is tough, man. Oh, boy.
Did you make comments like, look at this quaint little distillery?
I didn't, but it's also one of those things. Like I asked them their size, and they're like, "We have a 1,200-gallon pot still." It's like it was only supposed to be 1,000, but they had made a small error, and they were just like, "No, it's 200 gallons bigger now." And I was like, "That's really cool," and it's also like that's 3.5 minutes of what we make, what it takes you to make in a day.
Yeah, just to be able to see that as a whole. Just a whole different way of looking at it when you go there and go to different places. I think that's just.
Yeah. I mean, if Iron Root came to Heaven Hill and decided we're not going to pot still anything, we're just going to contract through Heaven Hill, what we make in a day would keep Iron Root running for probably like 2 years.
Well, I mean, when you think about the distribution and size, and think about Elijah Craig. I think you can go in just about every liquor store, most gas stations. And any place that sells liquor, and you're probably going to find, just like I did, this little bit smaller one, because I already had, I don't know, like 2 or 3 of the big ones on the shelf already. So I didn't want to keep stacking those. What the hell happened to me? Like I showed that and it got all blurry.
We've been asking that for 1.5 years now.
Yeah, you've had too much.
Too much? What?
Yeah. Put it too close to the camera, the ethanol got to it.
I guess.
That's right. There he goes. He's all cleared up now.
There, I'm back. But yeah, I mean, and that's like most of your product it's found just about everywhere. Say allocated, you got exactly.
This is the number one thing we sell. We sell this more than anything else.
Really?
More than Elijah Craig, more than Heaven Hill, more than Rittenhouse, Pikesville, Henry McKenna. That is, we sell more. We sell a lot of those.
Yeah, I bet you do. It's easy to smuggle into football games.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a reason those are plastic.
Tis the season.
Okay, and speaking of Evan Williams, I had the bottled and bond version, which is like 50% alcohol, and I think the normal one is 42, 43. I could be wrong, but
43.
43. Yeah. I'm intrigued, and this may just be at my local store here. How the fuck is the bottled and bond cheaper than the normal?
That's a your local store thing. Okay. Either the distributor or the retailer was drinking too much when they priced it. That's how that happened.
Okay. It's Woodman's does that sometimes, so I'm not going to say anything to him about it.
But also, the bottled and bond is also guaranteed to be 4 years old. Evan Williams, they'll put older stuff in it if they need to make it work. So sometimes the black label will lean a little older than the white label.
Huh. That's kind of neat. I guess I didn't think they would push too far into that, but I guess to keep the flavor profile.
They don't like to. They like the older stuff to kind of go to Elijah Craig because, it did have that 12-year age statement. They are trying to maintain that, age presence, or how do you just basically tannin. But if they're trying to, blend something away, Evan Williams is a great place to do it.
So all right, so I'm doing a little AB right here, the black label, and I've got the bottled and bond, and well, actually this is the bottled and bond right here, but the big difference I'm getting a little bit more of a cherry and fruit note coming off the bottled and bond. The black label, a little bit more of a dusty, kind of a slight peanut note going on there, but that's about it. Other than that, they're kind of right there together.
I mean, they should be really close to the same age. Yeah. They're obviously the same mash bill. It's the same barrels from the same company. Oftentimes the same rick houses.
So have you found a favorite brand since you've been there?
That Heaven Hill mixer.
Yeah, that Heaven Hill makes.
That can change things. So for me, Rittenhouse is my go-to rye for cocktails.
Okay, that makes
Just
sense.
if I'm making for anything, I just always lean Rittenhouse. I mean, there's several other like pretty decent proof ryes, like Old Forester just put out 100 proof rye 2 years ago. That was like actually $2 a bottle cheaper near me. But for the price, Rittenhouse, it makes it on good cocktails.
No, and when you said cocktails and stuff, I use it in that too because at least it carries through pretty well. Where some other things kind of lose its flavor in the cocktail. So yeah, I like it. Ooh, I do like this other one too. Yeah. All right. Ooh, Jesus, I'm gonna need to cheers everyone. I thought I poured a glass. I got too many glasses out in front of me now. We're only on 3 or 4, but there's too many out there. This was whatever. We have not. Oh, Jucifer was asking, have we talked about the strike at Heaven Hill? We did a little bit already. It's not at Mitch's side. Mitch didn't even get to claim strike on this one. I thought here you might have been like the leader of it. You might have been in trouble or something.
I know the head of the union. I used to work with him at Brown Foreman, which will say something that we both don't work there anymore.
Are you trying to say there should be a strike at Brown Foreman? I just
I'm not responsible. So I was there for one contract negotiation, and we just immediately voted it through. We didn't even turn down the first proposal. We were like, sounds good, great. And that was 4 years ago, and the starting wage has gone up, I think, 36 cents in 4 years. So not upset to be gone.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say with the way with finding quality people and stuff right now is, I know there's a lot of production jobs and stuff that are giving their current employees a significant bump because they know they're having to add that much to the new hires. Like, not the same thing, but I know there's a couple welding shops around here where everyone that was there, they gave them a $5 an hour raise because they're like, well, you're here, you're staying here, you're working, we appreciate you doing that, but we're going to have to give the new guy like $3 more than when you guys got started, and you're going to be pissed if we don't make this adjustment prior to it happening. I think you're going to see a little bit of that in a lot of places, especially if it's only like 36 cents. That's, yeah. Well,
it is what it is.
That's true.
So around me, Target starts at 15. We have GE. They start at like 18. We got Amazon. They start at $16.50. And it used to be if you got a job at a distillery, like you were going to make way more than anybody else. And that is not true if you work at Heaven Hill. And they weren't too happy about that.
Right.
I think Patrick might be allergic to whiskey.
You okay there, buddy?
I don't know what's going on there. Like wrong tube or something. I went down hot and it caught me wrong.
Keep it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will have to say, if anyone has them both, I found a very interesting thing to go right from Mellow Corn to Pikesville. It changed Pikesville in a very unique way, and I kind of enjoy it. I'm going to have to do that again. I might even do a separate blend here before the night's up.
We'll run with it. Don't just say it. Run with it. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Let's leave Alan Bishop off the screen.
You got your day coming, Alan.
Yeah.
So Alan, I brought your absinthe down to the Iron Root guys, and they went, "Oh, we've already had it," and just like moved them on immediately. I was like, well,
Yeah.
I haven't yet. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry, I beat you to that, Mitch. I brought it down there for them
Stupid gingers.
a month ago.
Fucking blame Ben. I
Yeah.
think I would.
I actually left him a bottle of the Fascination Street. So I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
if
what I get.
Okay.
They're like, they were like, I saw the bottle, I knew what it was immediately, and I was like, what's
Yeah.
it? Thanks, guys. Like, I saw the bottle, and I was like, what's this? Oh, cool. Like, I should bring this to Texas.
There'll be other people that jump on that train. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to be of service.
Little ruiner. All right, hold on. Oof. Do you guys have a favorite Heaven Hill that you guys have had, Mike or Ben? Is there one that stands out?
All right.
I've had one to me that really kind of, I guess I already mentioned it, but I'll go the Old Fitzgerald 13 I had. That one surprised the hell out of me when I had it. Like, it was so rich and bold.
Right.
Oh, like leather smoking room. Fucking, it was wonderful. And it was one of the ones that I would, if I could go back and get another bottle, I would, because I don't feel like I overpaid or anything. I don't think I got fucking swindled or shitted on it or anything. Like,
Right.
I think I was like 115 or 130 bucks when I got it. And it was absolutely delicious. And
Right.
yeah.
So I've tasted through the full lineup of what I've got here. So I got the Evan Williams Black Label, the Bottom Bond. I've got Elijah Craig Small Batch, Barrel Proof. I've got Heaven Hill 7-year bottled and bond, and the McKenna 10-year. My favorite so far out of all three of these is the McKenna 10-year. There's a little bit more complexity going on in that one overall than all the others of what I've had. I can taste the similarity of the mash bill all the way through all of these. I mean, it's especially the Evan Williams to Elijah Craig to Heaven Hill. They're almost, I don't say identical, but they're really darn close enough where if you set these down in a blind, the only one I might really pick out would be the Barrel Proof because of what it is. The Heaven Hill 7-year had a little bit more of a cherry note coming through in it, but the 10-year is the only one that really differentiates itself out from the others. So,
Interesting.
there you go.
Mike's just not going to comment. I like how you're
No,
not. I like how you're not
I think-
participating in tonight. You're like,
I'm adjusting my blend.
I think
That's what she
my
said.
favorite has got to be Fighting Cock, right?
I mean,
I haven't had
how
it,
much
but-
fun is it to give it to people and have them go, what? Yeah.
It's slightly less than that 1 foot cock, but only a little.
Angrier.
It was a former champ. Now it's just there. One leg.
Yeah, the stuff that I'm having tonight. I'll take the Single Cask Nation out of the lineup because that's not normal.
Right.
The Pikesville, I do really like Pikesville. I like that. I like the spice to it. I like a lot about it. I'm really enjoying the mellow corn Pikesville blend by itself. It's pretty interesting. I actually threw a little bit more mellow corn in there to get a little more corn dustiness to it, just for shits and giggles. Yeah, it's very interesting. Overall, Heaven Hill stuff. I've had a couple of Elijah Craig barrel proofs that I really liked. I can't say that I felt the same way about all of them.
Right.
But as just a normal, I mean, just straight up Elijah Craig, there's not a damn thing wrong with that, man. You could take that anywhere. It's good. It's inexpensive. You can buy it any place. Unlike that Old Fitzgerald that Mitch showed.
I mean, I don't know what y'all. They sell it at freaking Trader Joe's where I live.
Yeah, see, I don't.
Yeah, where
I don't
you
see
live.
that one. Yeah,
Come to the Holy Land sometime.
Trying.
yeah. So anyway, no, it's I mean, I like the products overall. I wish obviously the things that are more unique, like age stated Elijah Craig's, they're harder to get. The barrel proof, it's harder to get. I've never been able to try larceny barrel proof because anytime it shows up on a shelf around me and the local group says, hey, so-and-so's got it, it's gone. And it's on a local secondary for, $85 to $100. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So it's just, it's unfortunate, to not be able to try some of that stuff just to see what it's like. I like larceny. And the funny thing is they used to sell 175s of larceny at my Costco all the time for like $32 constantly. But ever since barrel proof came out, it's not at my Costco anymore.
Larceny is Old Fitz. It's just a slightly different proof. Old Fitz, I think, is 86 and larceny is like 92.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm really enjoying the Evan Williams bottled and bond right now. I don't know what to tell you. It's surprising.
It's good.
It's just it's not overpowering. It's just enough pepper notes and stuff.
No, and it was easy to grab. And that Rittenhouse Rye, that stuff's great. That the bottled and bond, when it started being called this underrated whiskey and people talking about it, it's like, shut up. Shut up.
Right.
You're gonna make something happen to it.
The crazy thing is we distill rye maybe 2 days a month, maybe. And that has made so much rye that they make, I've never not been able to find Rittenhouse or Pikesville. Maybe they don't have it like where you want to find it, but like go to a second store. There it is, 2 days a month.
Nice. So when you're on your little whiskey adventure, are there any places you're excited to go because they're doing something that maybe you would want to do if you could?
All of them. All of them. Right? Like they're all smaller and get to like actually. So the thing about small distilleries is you really get to. It sounds stupid, but you see the hand of the creator in the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
They want the opposite of that for Heaven Hill. They don't want to switch master distillers and be like, and it's new whiskey in 6 years. So
get on board.
So far, I've been to Deep Elm, Lone Elm, and Iron Root, and they've all been way different from each other, and they're all wonderfully interesting. Deep Elm is only making like an Irish style right now, so they've got unmalted barley in there, and they only bring it up like 6% beer before they distill it, which is bonkers. In like, if Heaven Hill ever distilled a 6% beer, like emails would come down from on high about like somebody needs some retraining. Lone Elm has the first ever chocolatey vodka I've ever had that's not actually flavored, and they're small batch, like they filter specifically to get a chocolate note, and they don't malt their barley. It's just regular old malted barley. And then Iron Root Republic, right there, they've got all those brandy, those Armagnac influences where they do interesting fill techniques, awesome finishing techniques. So.
John's wondering if Deep Elm is downtown Dallas, Fort Worth. Yep, tis it is. Would they? I understand they wouldn't, but to be on your side of it and see the scale, and then to see what you may want to do with like a craft style or something. Is there a style of whiskey that you would want to make? Like, is there a Wettle whiskey mash bill out there?
No. There's a lot of whiskeys I want to drink, but God, making it is a pain in the butt. So, like, everything that's fun is hard. Like, I hate to say that. Like, rye whiskey, it's super fun, but it foams like crazy. It's just a pain in the butt. Like, all those really interesting grains, like oatmeal and stuff like that, it basically becomes slimy concrete, if that makes sense. Like, it's just goo until you don't move it, and then it's concrete. And then, like, I love that wood, so I probably want to take something fun, and just finish it in like 4 different barrels, trying to get like my perfect finish.
I like that. Get the plays going. I was gonna say we've seen a couple of those that had 2 or 3 or 4 different finishes where they come back and the flavors really stack uniquely. Ooh. And it's hot.
Yeah, I brought down a Jura 7 wood just so I can show that with the Ironwood guys, because it's 7 different oaks, and none of them are like finished in like port or sherry or anything. It's just American and French oaks. It's very interesting.
I would think that's the same. Oh.
So how do you like the Jura overall, Mitch? Just talking about Scotch, taking a whole diversion here.
I like it. It's not as good as
Yeah.
bourbon, but I like it.
Right.
But bourbon
I
also
was-
wins because I can get an amazing $15 bourbon. If I want an amazing Scotch, I want that 50 plus.
Right. And I get that. I think the Jura though is one in the Scotch realm that often gets really overlooked by people, and the few that I've had have actually been really surprisingly very good. So
I've had
just
3.
curious you brought that up. So it's kind of just a quick little hot take, but
So I like Jura, except I had one that I was like, this has the weirdest note I've ever gotten in Scotch in it. And it was
Okay.
green bell pepper. It was like just that super vegetal, like green, fresh note. And
Yeah.
Jura is like slightly peated. So if you can imagine like slightly peated green bell peppers, I
I'm
don't know
intrigued.
what the hell to do with that. So I brought it down just so I could like give it to people and be like, do you get peated green peppers on this? And then just, if they say yes, I'm going to be like, what do you, what's going on? And if they say no, like, I just need to reevaluate things.
So, like, what do you pair this with? I don't know what to drink.
I mean, I don't even know if I'm supposed to drink it. Like, did I get a bad bottle? Like, it's green bell pepper what they were shooting for? Like, it's one of those things.
But I didn't think of that as like a vegetal note. And actually, now that you mention it, when you said that, I kind of get that. I can understand that. Oh,
The what? So that's easy. That's the one in the front at this level. It's my favorite bottle of whiskey. That's a very hard question. It depends on my mood. But I have probably a Hazelburn 14. That's like, if you like scotches, that's just an immaculately done scotch. To me, Green Spot, I've had great. Like, I had Redbreast Dreamcast, and that was probably the only Irish whiskey I liked more than just Green Spot. So
Okay.
if I go Irish, I go Green Spot. Bourbon is so difficult to choose. Because, I mean, I used to work, like, I literally got a job at a store that did great picks, just so I had, like, first pick on picks. So I could be like, got a Kentucky Spirit in today. This is coming home. Got an Knob Creek. That's coming home. Got a new Yellowstone. That's coming home. So I have, like, 60 amazing single barrel picks. Plus every once in a while I'll happen to tater across something pretty good, like a Weller 12 or something like that.
So what I got a similar question. If you are you just want to reset, what whiskey would you reach for if you just need to do a reset?
well,
I really like Everclear. I am the weirdest person in the world. It tastes super clean, super refreshing, and it numbs my palate to alcohol. So I love it.
This is an interesting take. I feel like we may have to try this.
Here we go.
All right.
Next testing, we all take a sip of Everclear before we start reviewing.
Don't do shots. I did that. When I first did Everclear, I was like, this is good. I did like 5 shots. And I was like, I don't understand why everybody hates this. Like, after worshiping the God at his porcelain throne for a long time, and then waking up later, I was like, that's why people don't do this.
All right, so let's say you're like, this is a special night for Mitch. What do you reach for to treat yourself?
For herpes or to treat yourself for what?
So
That's
I don't.
Everclear. That's it.
Right.
I hate to say it, but there's never a bottle off limits. Like when I want to drink, I just
Reach
So
for
I-
more.
So
go at it.
what's your white whale of whiskey?
anything allocated. I can't get anything allocated. Shoot, I haven't seen Eagle Rare on the shelf in a year.
Sorry, that is kind of, I never thought I'd hear that. Like Eagle Rare was your white whale.
I mean, I've got a bottle of it. I bought 2 bottles in my life. I got 1 left. And I haven't seen it on the shelf for over a year. Like, if I ever see a stag for retail, I'll hop on that.
Yeah.
Very enthusiastic $2 hoe, but
So
anything
what?
allocated is fine. I'm sorry.
Beyond allocated, I was curious too. Like coming from your perspective, having worked at Heaven Hill, Bernheim, biggest bourbon distillery in the world. So, what do you see coming out like from craft distillers? What kind of gets you excited, or what do you see that maybe is interesting or different that is like, ooh, I'm really curious, or I'm really interested about this, or about trying? I mean, is it just everything gets you excited? Is it's alcohol, or is there certain specific things that you see that like, okay, this is really cool. Like they're using this particular type of corn, or there's some interesting new funky mash bill going on. What?
So I like anything that pushes the boundary.
Okay.
So like Neely did an 8-year air seasoned barrel where they literally air seasoned the oak for 8 years. They then released it at 26 months and made me very angry. But still, like, that is amazing. I've never heard of anyone aging or air seasoning a barrel for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Root has all of those amazing different varietals.
Yeah.
You recognize it. I'm sorry, I didn't say shit until you said it.
But it's just push the boundaries, right? Like I work at Heaven Hill. I can get absolutely great whiskey any day of the week. I want new and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the most cool whiskeys I've probably had in the past 5 years was out of a craft distillery in Pittsburgh, Washington, Pennsylvania, called Liberty Pole Spirits, and they released a peated rye, where they made a rye whiskey with Baird's peated malt. That is the most fun I've had drinking in a long time, because it's a young rye, so the rye is super young. It's like super present, super vivacious, and it's a young peat. So it's, imagine like Ardbeg, Wee Beastie,
Right.
that type of peat, just not to that level. And they're just fighting. They do not want to melt, but for some reason, like that interaction in your mouth, that's that good stuff. But it's just, I like new and interesting. Right?
I'm really with you on that. I think the combination of rye and peat is very interesting, and some of the little bits of blending and playing around with mini barrel finishing stuff I've done with peat and rye, I think it's turned out really damn good. And I would love to see some more distillers kind of tackling that.
I got the
brought that up to Fred
Buzzard
Minnick
Roots.
one time, and he completely was just like, "Oh no, I don't want peat."
That's
in my
why people
rye."
in Kentucky don't.
Yeah.
But I got the Buzzard's Roost peated barrel.
Right.
It's really good.
It is good.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was happy
it is.
with that.
Yeah.
Yep. See, Aaron's over here mixing a little thing going on. He's got a little mellow corn, a little Amaret rye, a little Klein Leash, and Ardbeg.
Look
Hey
at
man,
that.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That
man.
sounds tasty.
Mhm.
Now you got Mitch dying, Pat. What's going on?
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm sharing it, giving everyone a bit. Goddamn cameras.
So I only have one cup. So this is also my water cup. And since I haven't gotten up to water, I'm dying.
One Mitch, one cup.
Yeah, 2 Mitch, 1 cup.
Ooh,
You can go get some water, Mitch. We'll wait a second.
I'm a professional. I am here to.
Well, on that note, we should cheers everyone in the chat with a drink.
Here's to a blend.
So I got to blend some.
Ooh. Going back to the little blend thing. Really neat brown sugar note on this now. It's like a really nice molasses. A little bit of dark chocolate on there too. Wow, the nose on the blend for me really kind of kicked it around pretty good. Mm. Ooh,
Made a blend.
very nice, but there's this weird like spearmint that pops up for like half a second and goes away in the middle, and it's really weird. The rest of it is lovely. It's just like a note that's boof. It's like I don't know what the hell just happened there.
Oh, my wood is terrible. Oh, wow.
Mm. Michael Landon. I didn't realize that double kind of meaning you were going there, Mike. I feel like I underrated your name for the evening. The whole highway to heaven. Well done, sir.
The blend's flat. It's got a nice nose, but the palate is completely flat.
I don't think so. Apparently,
No.
mine is longer than it is wide.
Whoa.
There we go.
Oh,
You have problems with the beer can? Is that it? I see how it is.
The beer cans are cool as long as it's not a tuna can. That's when you get messed up.
Oh. I think we're gonna leave that there.
Don't want to kiss them on it.
No, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that there. But I don't know. It's just actually in my living room. Yeah, well, it could be.
I think the mystery of the GIMP has been solved.
If I could reach over and if someone puts an arm around Mitch right now, you know something's going on. So, but I've had a lot of fun tonight, just because it's been fun switching bottles left and right here, and everything's been pretty enjoyable. I don't know. Do we have any more questions for Mitch out in the chat?
What is, I want to ask a question for you. What do you want your whiskey industry future to be besides employed? No general blanket statements. What do you want to do?
So, if I could create my own thing, Mixtures has a master of maturation, and it's kind of the person that oversees the maturation of everything. Right? They get the barrels, they decide where they're going to go in the warehouse, what percentage of toasted, how long it's going to stay in the toasted, if they're going to do any fun finishing, stuff like that. And if I could create that job somewhere else, because I don't want to take her job, like that'd be kind of not polite. But create that job for someone else, I would love to do that.
Do they have something like that at Heaven Hills?
No, God, no. Well, I mean, they're called warehouse supervisors, but
Yeah. Not to the proper level, sorry. Yeah, we do. Can you read that, Mitch, or do you need me to read
so
it?
yeah, no, I got it.
Okay.
I don't know what the elder fire is, if I'm perfectly honest. Was that just like a big forest fire, I guess?
Yes.
That's what I would assume. would be
Big
wild
fire out. Big fire out west.
Yeah.
That's a great question, and the answer is probably. You would have to, harvest it, air dry it, and see just how, find oak that was not damaged by the fire. But realistically, the outside of oak trees, kind of that living edge, gets thrown away anyway. So if it's just that edge and a little bit more that got burned, yeah, you could take those trees and make barrels out of them. But I think because the wood's still good.
Aaron's out there like, hey, these trees all fell over the fire.
I mean, you can make a barrel out of any species of oak effectively. It's just how good is it going to taste? How hard is it going to be to make, and how much will it leak?
That was going to be one of my questions. What has been some of the worst oak or wood you have dealt with?
Red oak.
Red oak? Why? What's
red
the
oak.
deal with...
When you steam and toast red oak, smells like you peed in a campfire. Don't F with red oak.
Lovely.
Now, does that carry over to?
Yeah.
Oh, it carries over as well. Too.
Oh yeah. Away. Very bad. Very bad. Very bad.
I feel like I may have figured out what someone did wrong now. I may have some answers for people. John concurs. He says that red oak is bad.
So it was kind of it does leak. It doesn't have the tyloses that you need. But it was a game in the cooperage. Like if red oak went through, you got to keep it. So guys would try and get it all the way to the forming stage, and then be like, "Oh no, it's red oak." And then they'd get one of the coopers to make them, if they could find enough, an entire barrel out of red oak. And you got to keep it.
So is this what they're aging Malort in?
Pretty sure that's cat urine sacs. But each their own.
Yeah, each one is a little bit different.
But most oaks don't necessarily taste bad. They just they don't have the tyloses. So that's a problem. It's all about the tyloses and the rays for post oak and live oak. It leaks like a sieve. So you can get through it. It's just very difficult. So
right.
I'm sorry. I just keep
sorry.
saying
Every time Alan says
someone's
something,
someone's trying to blend cat pants. And there's two releases that come to mind that I feel like it happened.
Yeah. Also, just really young oak, if they don't dry it well enough, it smells so bad. You really got to get some age on that. But it's just very difficult to make barrels out of that because you need higher than furniture grade wood, and that's kind of the reason they made posts out of them.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't really good for furniture, veneer, things like that.
I'm great. So yeah, that was my one because I figured there was got to be a couple weird things that popped up as I don't ever want to touch this or use it, and I'm mad at someone for bringing.
If anybody ever's I got this red oak, aged whiskey, just be like, that's cool, man. I got water, and that's where I'm staying.
Come on, we could all send it to Ed and see what his reaction is.
I brought down a couple for him. Oh, he's gonna like them.
He's gonna like them.
Oh no! So one of them's from Yellowstone. I got 100% malted rye that was aged 2 years in a small barrel, and it is a funky adventure.
Okay, is this the single barrel from Westport?
Yeah,
I have the same bottle. And I just
weird.
opened it the other night, and it is funky weird. So here's what my wife and I were sitting here sampling this. I was kind of leading her through a thing of rye, and so we got to that one, and I'm gonna be honest. It was, and I freaking love Limestone Branch, and I got to sample that 100% malted rye at the distillery. It tasted fantastic. Got this bottle, and right off the bat, it smelled like cat piss. Was what I was getting off the top, kind of, yeah. And then you get through that, and then it's just all, for me, it was like dried apricot, like a single note of dried apricot. And it's like, that's delicious, but that's all it is. But then I've got to get through this little bit of a barnyard funk and cat pee thing kind of going on off the top of it. And I just, every time I went to it, that's what I was getting off the nose. I'm like, man, did a cat piss on this barrel or what?
Did you read the tasting notes on the back of it?
No, I have not. I've not read the tasting
Oh my
notes.
God, they are hilarious. It's like toasted marshmallow and something like that. And it's just like, I think someone put the wrong label on the back of this. But yeah, I mean, nothing you said is wrong.
Okay.
Let it open up a little.
Yeah.
Because at Westport, they'll let you sample it, and their bottle's been open for however long it has been. But it's a funky adventure.
It is funky. I mean, I'm sitting here going, if I get through the kind of the cat pee thing, it's a little bit of a barnyard funk, and I don't dislike what I'm tasting here overall. But it is funky weird, that's for sure. So that's what I've got. That's what I'm wanting to come back to.
I poured that for at Iron Root today, and he was
okay.
Like, I told him like, if you've ever had Old Potrero, like it's kind of like that, and he was like, okay, cool, yeah, I've had that, and they had this, and he was like, you said this was like Old Potrero, and I was like, well, the same way bourbon's bourbon, like this is malted rye, that's malted rye, and he was like, okay, sure. And but then I also brought down a raw rye, is what they called it, from Copper Sea in New York.
Okay.
It was a completely unaged rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
The only other time I've had that was Tanner's Curse, which was, I can't remember.
Right.
Like, you don't realize how much a barrel does for rye until you have like rye white dog, and then you're like, I never would have ever guessed this would have turned good. Well,
there was when you explained to me about the Minnesota oak or the northern oak being tighter and giving a little more peppery note rather than the sugars like a southern white oak. That was the only way I understood Douglas and Todd when I had it. I was like, they're bullshit. There's not rye in this. I think you're fucking lying. You know, I was animate about it for like 3 days. I was like, I don't even know if I fucking believe Mitch.
Right.
He was right.
Now, Crouch Distilling that was here in Columbia that shut down this past year from COVID because of all the shutdown stuff. Anyway, they had an unaged rye. I never was able to get my hands on a bottle of it, but they had an unaged rye. And then a few weeks ago, the last time I was at Kentucky Peerless, I got to sample their rye new make. And that was pretty freaking delicious, quite honestly.
I've had theirs. Theirs was good.
Yeah.
So I guess I've had more than I had Tanner's Curse. Then I've had the Buffalo Trace Rye White.
I didn't try that one.
Oh, and I've had Heaven Hills. I should probably throw that one in there. I have no idea. Like, I've never messed with malted rye.
Yeah.
I'm really content right now. I don't know about everyone else out there, but I am.
Well, I'll tell you what, the blend I've got going on here is pretty good. I added just a little bit of that 24 in there, the single cast nation into it. It's not shabby.
A nice little punch to it. What I like about everything I had tonight is that it's all been extremely drinkable, and that's what I like about some of the stuff. Like the Evan Williams and Elijah Craig. Like when you have it, you're not disappointed. You're fairly happy. You know, there's obviously stuff that's gonna blow your doors off, but you need something that's content that you can just have and drink and be happy with at that moment. And I think just about everything that's putting out, except for the allocated side of it, which apparently includes Old Fitzgerald's bass line for poor Mike. It's all extremely tasty for what it is, and even was it a JTS Brown? Was
I brought that down with me.
$9. I mean, there's not many places you're gonna find a $9 whiskey, and for $9, we've had far worse things.
So they make a
Sure.
bottled and bond version that they only sell in Kentucky.
Of course they
JTS
do.
Brown. And it used to be $11. It's up to $13. But it is still one of those bourbons that you just sneak into a lineup. Doesn't win, but it's normally like top third. People are like, "Oh, what's that?" And it's like, "Oh, this is $13. That's what this is." I don't even want to tell you the name, and everybody just goes a little wonky.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I'm excited about what Mike and Ben got to see, and next time I'm down there, I'm sure I'll sneak over there just because it's a whole different way to look at it.
I got an email that says I
Huh?
can't do that anymore. I got an email that says I can't do that anymore.
Well,
Really?
at least not for the moment.
Was it something Kevin said?
I don't know, but I got an email.
We said,
Basically,
don't
like-
take your shirt off in the mash, Kevin. Whatever you do, don't take your shirt off. What does Kevin do? Takes his shirt off.
It smells good, but it doesn't work like soap.
All right, but I think that's good for a show this evening. I was gonna say we've got a couple blends, we've tasted some things, and I think if you haven't, and most people probably don't get to tour Heaven Hills. Do they let you tour it in general when it's actually up and running? No.
So where I work at the distillery, that is closed to the public. They let you tour when they're not on strike down in Bardstown. They have actually a bourbon museum. It's really cool. You get to see the rick houses and stuff like that. And then in downtown Louisville, they have the Evan Williams Experience, which is like kind of a micro distillery, but it's built into a Frank Lloyd Wright building. It's just fun little technology-driven tourist trap.
Yeah. We did get to try some whiskey from though when we were at Evergreen. They had a bottle of it there. That was pretty good.
Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah, so when they first opened, you put your name down and the day you were there, and they're like, "We're going to do all single barrels, and we'll call you when we release the single barrel when you were here." That did not happen. So they turned it into Five Brothers. And they wanted, $60 for a 4 to 6 year old whiskey coming out of Heaven Hill, and was just like, I see why y'all did that. And it's sold out in a day.
I get the sense that you're frustrated with that, but that's okay.
I wanted my bottle, my single barrel. Yeah, I went there before I worked there. Come on, guys.
I hope you get to steal. I don't want to say I hope you get to steal one, but part of me is like, I hope that at some point they give you a nice gift or something,
So yeah, they're really good about giving gifts. They're really good about making sure it's no more expensive than Elijah Craig. So you can get like Elijah Craig, Heaven Williams single barrel, Heaven Williams, any Deep Eddy that I could want, maybe some Palma, stuff like that.
So I don't know. I was gonna say, Mike, Ben, do you have any other questions for this evening before we hop off here?
I don't, but but again, thanks for allowing us to do the tour. That was great.
Yeah.
Sorry you don't get to do it anymore. But
there's kind of a deadly pandemic going on. So.
Well, there's that too, but it was one of, if not the best and most honest tours that I've been on, which was cool because it was just, well, I mean, it was because there was there wasn't a script, and there wasn't this. Here is blah 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 blah. It was just like, yep, there you go.
No marketing spiel, no BS, just
No.
straight up. Here's what we do, and here's how we do it, and that was deeply refreshing, quite honestly.
Yeah. It was extremely eye-opening to see the stuff going on in that scale and just be like, shit.
No, straight up.
Yeah,
yes,
just massive.
Up. Yep. From what we do here and places we've been touring the crap out of craft distilleries and stuff and seeing a lot of different things. That was one of the best experiences to get that perspective, to see and understand from that scale and that size what's going on and how, so many of these different bourbons and ryes and stuff that we enjoy, that everybody goes crazy over, how that's made, where that's coming from. It puts a lot of things into perspective, and you can't understand that until you go see it, until you see that and walk through it. It's difficult to grasp. And so that just helped, for me, puts a lot of things into a good perspective and understanding of, the industry as a whole, and where, different parts fit, different things are needed. And, again, what you guys are doing. So yeah, deeply appreciate that, because it was, just fun to hang out, but at the same time, it was actually very enlightening and very educational. So
all right, I have a question for you. I do have a final question, because we've asked this question of other people before, but just considering where you've come from, how do you define craft whiskey?
Small. I hate to say it, like if you have a pot still or you have a column still that's measured in inches rather than feet, you're craft. I wish I could be more, polite than that. Or if you're an independent bottler, kind of like Buzzard Roots, and you don't even have a still, you're craft.
That's fair. That is kind of the way it's broke down a little bit by like amount produced and stuff, the way it is. So that falls into that same kind of purview,
I wish I could have a romanticized view of it, where it's like, if you're pushing the boundaries, if you're minority supported or anything, but realistically, the only thing that differentiates the Heaven Hills from the Neelys, the French Licks, the everything else is the fact that Heaven Hill can put it out, and they can. I'm sure Alan would hop on here and be like, I would love to have Heaven Hill style money. I don't think anybody who's on the craft tour would be like, no, I don't want that much money. Thank you. I prefer this level of money. So I don't think it's a want of enjoying where they are too much. It's just, that's what it is.
It is. All right. Well, Mitch, thank you for coming on the show this evening and taking some time out of your vacation. We appreciate it, because we know you are out and about tasting things, or maybe a little bit in recovery today, from the way it sounds like from earlier today.
Yeah.
Recovery.
Recovery is it.
What step are you on,
5
Mitch?
hours tomorrow.
Hey,
I don't have a problem, so 0.
that licorice family, they can put it on you, man.
I almost feel like that's part of the MO when you go there now.
I dealt a little bit of damage there, though. I didn't just take it. I showed up. I had a full clip. So.
All right. Well, thank you for being on, Mitch. We really appreciate it. Next Monday, we are going to roll into another single cask nation night, where we go a little bit more into the Heaven Hills, some balcones, some other stuff we have from a single cask nation releases. So stop out then. It's going to be a little more of a tasting stream. But I was going to say that's the plans for next week. And like we said, Mitch, thanks for coming on. We appreciate always having you on and talking to you about stuff. But this is a little more unique situation when we got to talk about what you're doing, and just from the pictures, I got the same kind of a little bit of an awe factor from them, where kicks you back a bit when I looked at something and Mike's like, no, man, you don't understand it. It's like fucking 4 stories high. And I'm like sat there and I was like, I've been scared shitless when I was 4 stories high, like working on something. I'm like, I reimagined it in my head, and I'm like, ooh. I'm like,
they didn't see the top of the stills because I was like, those are 5 stories up, and I'm not one. So we're chilling out down here.
I could say we don't go above 3.
We don't. We like unless something's wrong with the stills. 3rd floor.
Excellent. Well, be sure to stop out. This Wednesday, you guys have another release on Bourbon Turntable. What are we talking about then?
What's coming out on Bourbon Turntable next? That's a good question because
Kevin's in the chat.
Yeah, let Kevin answer this because he's heading up the schedule. We've recorded so many different things right now, having it all what's in my head. Trying to think what is coming out next because we covered Eddie Van Halen.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin is next. Okay. Yeah. That's a fun conversation. So be sure to check that one out. If you love any kind of music, basically Rick Rubin has had his fingers involved in it as a producer. And if it's basically ever been a hit, just about, it seems like somehow he's involved. So if you're a big music fan, yeah, this will be a great talk about producers, and especially one like Rick Rubin, who's a unique character among producers. So,
and Emily's bringing up Mitch's alter ego over on YouTube, the Whiskey Wettle. You get over there, and all right, everyone, let's grab. Grab.
Gonna do a bottle pull.
I'm gonna do a bottle.
Heck
pull.
Yeah, man.
I gotta find one here though. I'm going to Elijah. No, I'm not.
I'm doing Evan Williams, man.
An easier bottle to pull from. Oh, the old Fitzgerald. That's right. Rub it in Mike's face.
No problem. Here, does this feel better? Do you rub it in?
All right. I was waiting for a response, and I'm just not getting one from him. All right. Remember, it is not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey, everyone. Cheers. Have a good evening.
Cheers.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Hand in. Some more.